Hey, everybody. We're back and better than Ezra. Something like that.
Great band.
Yeah, I actually have seen him live multiple times, but I'm old. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Thinking Out Loud. Hope you're doing well. This is the week after free agency. We have pro days, like a Big 12 pro day, at Bama pro day today. Jalen Milroe fast 4.37 according to at NFL on the Insta faces and the Twitters and everything. Daniel Jeremiah says it's more like a 4.4, 4.45. Doesn't matter. He's fast. He's not very accurate. He's going to get drafted maybe in the second round. He's going to play some games next year. We'll get to that in a little bit. But regardless, we're happy that you are here. Be sure to like and subscribe and share and do all the things you need to do at Siciliano Show on YouTube, or if you're listening to the podcast. We're happy that you're here. You heard Sam Patesh there. He is a bit under the weather. Not so under the weather that we didn't go to the Intuit Dome last night to see the best team in basketball lose consecutive games. The Cleveland Cavaliers falling to gentlemen who came together to play a basketball game who I'm told were the LA Clippers. Yes, the LA Clippers. I didn't know all these guys played for the Clippers. And they came together and they beat the Cavaliers. Regardless, we'll get to that a little bit later. Sam, how are you feeling?
A little bit better. And yeah, field trip night for Thinking Out Loud. That was an adorable idea, a great idea considering the Cavs were in town and what they are now. And we sort of forget, obviously, when LeBron was there, best team in basketball, yeah, that was sort of without, you didn't have to think about it. But now with what Kenny Atkinson has done, this is a stunning collection. It helps. Donovan Mitchell is certainly special, but that's a good team. I know the Clippers decided that they wanted to play, and we'll talk about that, but the Clippers are hilarious. But yes, that was adorable to be there. And yeah, Levi gave me some sort of plague that I'm slowly getting
Fantastic.
through. But
Passover
no doubt.
right around the corner. Here comes the plague a little bit early.
Yes, thank you for that.
Yeah, fight through that. It's like the Clippers. It's like James Harden and Kawhi Leonard. And found out Brian Shaw's coaching the Clippers last night. It shows you how much I watch. Like they had a text chain going, "Hey, the Cavs are coming to town. Like, should we all show up? Like, should we play tomorrow night?"
Do you think so?
And they all showed up and played.
Ben Simmons is the common denominator for me because I remember the Nets team that was supposed to take the league by storm when Kyrie and Kevin Durant and Ben Simmons were all together, and they never got on the court together. And Harden and Kawhi and Ben Simmons are absolutely not on the court very often.
Is there an NFL equivalent to Ben Simmons as we take a radical turn on this show? Like a guy that makes a gazillion dollars and like he shows up on your screen, you're like, oh, that guy's still playing? And then he goes out there like, well, he's not really actually doing it. Like they're not throwing him the football. He's not taking shots. I guess that would be the comparison there. And NBA. Like he's still there.
And you'd have to say, based on what his stat line ends up being, you'd have to say he's in an offensive lineman role because it's one of those where you just can't go to a box score.
Tight end.
You cannot go to a box score and say, wow, look at what Ben Simmons did. Nothing was funnier than being at the game and looking all night as the stat lines changed each time the ball went down the court, and yet Simmons just stays at 0, 0, 0, 0, and 0. And then a ball falls into his hands and he gets a rebound. But yeah, it's interesting, but he's a defensive specialist.
Hey, it's good work if you can get it, man.
The NBA is full of that.
To the LA Clippers, and now the Cavs get back-to-backs. They got to go to Sacramento, or Steve Summers used to say back in the day on WFAN when I would listen to him and do homework at Syracuse, the Sacra-Tomato. Actually, in retrospect, I can't call them what he would call them then. It was a totally different day and age. But anyway, I digress. Welcome to the show. As I was trying to say, it is that football time. With pro days, Big 12 going today, UCLA on Monday, Bama was today as well. Georgia was last week. It's that kind of lull before the owners' meetings next week in Florida. And then eventually the final push towards the NFL draft. And as we sit here today and we record this show on Wednesday, the 19th of March, year of our Lord, 2025, Aaron Rodgers has yet to inform anyone other than Aaron Rodgers his plans to play football. Now, I want to make this clear. Aaron Rodgers is clickbait. And I don't mean that in a negative way. Nothing he did. But like I just know that, anything social you put on the social medias and you talk about Aaron Rodgers, it's going to get clicks. That's not why we're talking about him. We're talking about him because We still don't know what he's going to do. And I could tell you with knowledge that there are multiple teams in the NFL just going, will you please make up your bleeping mind? Now, do they say that angrily? Do they say that spitefully? No, they just want to know. Like, free agency began a week ago today, actually 9 days ago. The draft is 5 weeks from tomorrow. People would like to move on with their lives. Our friend Tom Pelissero reported this morning the Vikings aren't it. They're going to go with J.J. McCarthy, which is an interesting thing to do. I get it. Like, organizationally, you drafted the guy, may as well play him. At the same time, the Vikings, along with the Lions and the Packers, combined to win 40 games last year in the NFC North. The Bears won 5, but the Bears are a lot better this year, you'd have to think, at least on paper. The Vikings have to decide, do we want to try to win this division with J.J. McCarthy, or maybe we roll with Aaron Rodgers and see how that goes? Evidently, the answer is we're ready for JJ. See if he's a good robot or a bad robot. Let's go. Play on words there. JJ Abrams, bad robot. Forget it.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
I don't think he's a robot. I think he's potentially a good quarterback. That's why they moved up in the draft a year ago. I never liked the Aaron Rodgers to the Vikings idea, ever. I have now changed my mind. I think it is the best place for him, and I think it would be a very wise move by the Vikings, because I don't know that you're going to win the best division in football with J.J. McCarthy. You spent all this money on the O-line just now, and on the D-line for that matter. You are spending money. You clearly are trying to keep up with the rest of the NFC North, and you're going to do it with J.J. McCarthy, who might be good. Had that really good preseason game a year ago and then hurt his knee in that game. We find out on Monday, right after that game, that he's done. They shut him down. Yeah, I get why you drafted him. You think he's the future. I get it. You're going to toss him the keys. I also get that you need somebody else in the building. Maybe it's a Joe Flacco. Maybe it's a Kirk Cousins. I would have kind of sort of wanted to see Aaron Rodgers. Now, the flip side of that is, if it isn't Minnesota, then Rodgers' choices are seemingly down to the Steelers and the Giants. Now, selfishly, as a guy that works for the Browns, I'd rather see him go to the Giants. Number one, he's out of the division. Number two, if he goes to the Giants, and we've laid this out in the past, you'd have to think then the Giants are out of the quarterback business in the draft at number 3. They go Travis Hunter, or they do something else to help Aaron Rodgers. They're not going to go Jordan Love or Michael Penix. They're all in here with Rodgers in 25, and they try to win. But if I'm Rodgers, I don't want to go to New York. I don't want to be back in MetLife Stadium again, where I hurt my Achilles 2 years ago. It's just not what I want to do. Nothing against the Giants. It's just not what I want to do. If I was left to choose between those two teams, I would go to Pittsburgh. I was talking to one NFL assistant coach this week who does not work for the Steelers, nor the Browns, nor the Bengals, nor the Ravens, not in the division. I just threw it out there and said, hey, can you imagine like the CBS cutaways, Aaron Rodgers, like death lasers at DK Metcalf and George Pickens when someone's not on the same page? Can you imagine that? Part of me wants to see it, like for the must-see TV, and as a Browns fan who doesn't think it would work. But for the Steelers, I think it's their best option right now, and I think you have to put the full court press on. You heard Cam Hayward yesterday. Hey, Cam, what would you say to Rodgers? Like, give me the pitch. He goes, I don't have a pitch. My pitch is, you want to be here or not? And that's, I think, the sentiment around the NFL. Look, I get it, Aaron. You're 41 years old. Truly, like, you deserve the right to figure it out on your own. Sure, we'll wait. But teams are waiting. Jobs are, hanging in the balance, whether it's Russell Wilson as the backup plan in Pittsburgh or Cleveland or any of the other quarterbacks that are hanging out there, Flacco and Jameis and Carson Wentz and all those. Like, people kind of sort of want to know. And we wait. And the longer and longer and longer we wait, and I know Pat McAfee mentioned this morning, but the longer and longer and longer we wait, I think there's a good chance Aaron decides to retire, or he decides to wait on the sidelines for an injury. Not that you're rooting for anyone to get injured. It's a part of life in this league, sadly. And maybe he just sits in Malibu with or without a blanket or an Afghan, or I don't know what kind of, whatever he had, a shawl. He was warm, looked warm, regardless. Maybe he just sits in his house and on the beach in Malibu and waits for somebody to get hurt. In essence, do what Ryan Tannehill did a year ago. Now, maybe the phone rang, but the job was never there for Tannehill. He never came out of sitting on the couch. But I think Rodgers' phone would ring. I think he would be the first choice. And inevitably, injuries will happen. If you don't like the Steelers option and you don't like the Giants option, sit back and wait for an injury in Miami, an injury in Dallas, an injury in Los Angeles, an injury anywhere, because injuries happen and you would be the first guy they would call. Now, they would have to do it on FaceTime audio. We learned that 2 years ago. But if anybody needed a quarterback, they could call Aaron Rodgers on FaceTime audio and they would find a quarterback.
I love that you said, finally, that the Vikings are the best choice. I've been excited about the Vikings possibility the longest because I was following the Brett Favre story. I was trying to pin that together and say, wow, it could go Packers, disaster with Jets, into this resurgence with a Vikings team that is much closer than the Jets team was. So I still love that. The Vikings have said no, but I still like the Vikings idea. I like it for the Vikings even. I think for JJ McCarthy, and Aaron Rodgers is a great example of this. Sitting behind someone like Brett Favre, like Aaron Rodgers, makes you a better quarterback. And it would be great for JJ to see that for a year. And the Vikings have to know that that's obviously a 14-win team coming back with the idea. And by the way, through free agency, the Vikings feel like they've done a lot to improve themselves. Obviously, Darnold won't be their quarterback. I just thought this was so ready-made. Rodgers, the best scenario, considering the support he did not get.
To want him.
Of course. So if that's the case now, and they are just saying no, I mean, first of all, how does that feel to Rodgers? I just have to imagine that is a bit of a gut punch. For the story to be, we don't want you, which is what the story is. I mean, you have to, I mean, if you're Aaron Rodgers, you're thinking everyone wants you. You're going to be great news for whoever gets you.
Also just assuming that he also wanted to be there. It's being portrayed, and I'm sorry for cutting you off, as Aaron Rodgers really wanted to go to the Vikings and the Vikings are turning him down. We haven't heard from Aaron. This is all
of course.
Aaron was at a charity flag football tournament in Orange County on Saturday. RX3, he's part of the RX3 company group, whatever. He didn't talk to the media, so we're just assuming.
We're just thinking out loud about it, but he should want that situation based on what he's done in that division already, his familiarity with that, again, what the coaching staff provides, and even if you were just picking wide receiver duos in the world to work with, Justin Jefferson and Addison, right away, that's got to jump out to you. And I mean, that far surpasses anything he's ever had, even in Green Bay, where he was constantly wishing for better weapons and wishing that they would draft someone for him in the first round, etc. So that's the situation that he should want. Now, forget it. If that's off the table, if that's completely off the table for Aaron Rodgers, I'd say you're right. Walk away. I thought the Raiders, I mean, obviously we said in the end, Geno Smith, that's where I landed on thinking Geno should go, and he ended up with the Raiders, but I thought the Raiders was the best situation. I thought Chip Kelly could do a lot with Rodgers there, certainly with Pete Carroll. But there's nothing. Now, you mentioned that Tannehill didn't really get the right phone call, but Flacco did. And I'm sure Rodgers wants to think that he's at a different place than Flacco was 2 seasons ago, but they're probably more similar than he'd like to realize. And the call came to Flacco and it worked out. And what your scenario provides is you're opening yourself up to more scenarios. You've got a wider swath if you're waiting now for a team to be in a situation where they now need you, which, by the way, evens open up the possibility for Minnesota again. Because should there be an injury in Minnesota, which there was already, then all of a sudden his name means something different than it does today with a healthy JJ McCarthy there.
I think he's going to retire. I think there's a really good chance he just retires, or at a minimum, doesn't go anywhere and just waits. In other words, just we could wait. And if if the phone never rings, or if it doesn't ring into a situation that sounds exciting, well, we could just hang it up. I think he's going to be fine waiting. Now, I think it would be nice if he were to say that publicly. He doesn't have to say it publicly. He could also just tell the people with whom he's spoken, the Steelers, the Giants, hey guys, I'm not ready to sign anywhere. I'm gonna wait and just see where this goes. You can move forward with your plans. I will not be in them currently. I think he may just do that. The Steelers are interesting. I mean,
I
they're
think
more
it's more, yeah.
interesting than the Giants. I just wouldn't want to do the Giants thing. I just wouldn't.
No, I mean, the neighbors thing makes it, I mean, obviously that would be,
You got
that you're right, but I mean, that would be fun. You can kind of wrap your head around how interesting that could be. But Pittsburgh's the one that DK and Rodgers, you can start to think about. But then again, the Devontae Adams thing, I mean, I understand on paper, you can go back and peel the layers and say that Rodgers had a decent to good season last year, but not I mean,
no, he didn't. He was
exactly like not in comparison to who Aaron Rodgers has been. So is DK Metcalf such an upgrade on Devontae Adams, who he has this incredible relationship with? I'm not so sure, and I don't think he can convince himself anymore. And that's probably why this is tick, 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 and everyone's looking at their watch, is because nothing is a ready-made situation anymore for him.
Either way, we're waiting for him. And if he doesn't go to Pittsburgh, then maybe Russell does. But the idea of Russell and Arthur Smith back together, clearly, if they wanted that to happen, they would have already made it happen. They haven't made it happen. They signed Mason Rudolph instead as kind of a placeholder, if you will. If Rodgers doesn't sign with either one of those teams, it greatly affects the top 5 of the draft, and it greatly affects Russell Wilson's future. What if Pittsburgh decides they don't want to go there? Pittsburgh met Tuesday night with Jalen Milroe, dinner before Alabama Pro Day. It is notable. The Steelers do pick 21. I don't think Milroe is going to be a first-round quarterback. That's just me, but nothing would surprise me. He's got amazing athletic gifts. He is, Campbell winner, academic Heisman. He's great in the community. Really, really nice young man. He's going to win you over in the interview. And he's a risk worth taking. I don't think he's a risk worth taking in the first round, but he ran exceedingly well. He said people wanted to see me run, so okay, I'll run. Yes, NFL.com says he ran a 4.37. Daniel Jeremiah says it's more like a 4.44 and a 4.45. Either one, they're really good. Someone's going to take a flyer on him. His accuracy simply isn't there, at least not yet. Can you teach accuracy? Sure, with better footwork, and yeah, you could teach accuracy, but can that better footwork and better mechanics be consistently maintained on the field during a game as opposed to off the field in a workout? It's one thing, all right, fundamental. And then you're out there in the game and you got people running at you. You got to get the ball out. Your fundamentals out the window, everything you learned, because you're not focused on them. And then you become an inaccurate quarterback again. I digress. The quarterback carousel still spinning, will be updated shortly. In the meantime, the Bengals got their deals done on Sunday night. They chose not to tag and trade T. Higgins, not to tag and sit on T. Higgins and make him play for 26. They got both deals done with Jamar Chase, who gets 40 a year, and he thanked Myles Garrett to get to that number, and T. Higgins, who the numbers are, I don't know, they are what they are. I want to wait to see them. I have a pretty reputable source that, as reported, T. Higgins did get 2 guaranteed years, which is huge because the Bengals don't guarantee money beyond year 1. They did it for Burrow because they had to. That is generally the way they operate. It has cost them business over the years. That is just a fact. Right? They are not a cash flow team. They don't write those checks and guarantee that money years out. Now, you might argue that's the better way to do business. Okay. It also has its downside, but the Rams, I'm sorry, The Bengals were willing to do it here. Now, Trey Hendrickson hasn't found a trade. I'm going to guess they're going to put a 1-year Band-Aid on it. He's not going to, I'd be stunned if he got to 30. He should get 30. I don't know that he's going to get it. No man cumulatively has more sacks in the NFL the last 2 years than Trey Hendrickson, but his age begins at a 3, and I just don't think they're going to pay him what he wants to get paid. But let's say they do re-sign or redo or get Trey Hendrickson back in the fold. They still gave up 25 points a game last year, and getting rid of Lou Anarumo and replacing him with Al Golden doesn't magically make your defense that much better. They have not drafted and developed players on that side of the ball the last 5 years. They simply haven't. So you got Joe Burrow all the toys again, but can they stop anybody this time? The draft is still out there. I get it. They still need a right guard as well. Don't have one of them. I get why Bengals fans are happy. I get why Cincinnati restaurateurs are offended that Jamar Chase says he loves the city, but we got to get better food here. But I don't get how the Bengals are magically going to be better defensively, with or without Trey Hendrickson. I just don't get it. And I think we could be watching the same movie next year with the Bengals that we saw this past season. Long way to go. They can draft. There are still guys out there in free agency. But while there is this euphoria in Bengal land, I still got a lot of questions, and I don't know how they're going to answer them.
You said movie here, and the Bengals are exactly that when I look at Cincinnati. There are certain movies that when they are on TV or when you stumble upon them somewhere that you just stop and you're therefore going to watch them. The Bengals are this. They are the Goodfellas or Casino in my life. They are a football team that for whatever reason, probably because of Joe Burrow, but Burrow and Chase and Higgins now, this is a team that is thoroughly enjoyable to watch. Think about the game. Think about both games against the Ravens last season. Think about the game on Monday night against Jaden Daniels, sort of the Jaden Daniels coming out party in week 3, I believe. This team plays at the game against Denver. The Saturday game against Denver was outstanding into overtime. The Bengals are so exciting to watch. Now, their
What
fans
do those games all have in common?
that they're giving up leads.
I think they lost them all.
They won the Denver game. That was the one, I believe.
Okay.
I think you're right. I think that you're right though. You're right. One of the 4 I just mentioned, which were so exciting, they only came out on the positive end of one of those, and they gave up. Remember, they gave up Bo Nix's best play of the season in what essentially was a Hail Mary into the end zone to tie that game, to send it into overtime, and then they did win it in overtime. That's fine with T. Higgins, but this team is such an enigma. I just don't understand it. Number 1 passer in the league from a yardage standpoint, number 1 receiver in the league from a yardage standpoint, and the man who had the most sacks in the league as well. Those 3 categories, to lead in those 3 categories and not win your division and not make the playoffs, it scientifically, it feels like it's off. There's something about that formula that should... Okay.
They're not an enigma. Their defense is bad.
But the fact that I can say that Hendrickson led the league in sacks, it should mean something. It should stand for something. I know that it hasn't, and the secondary has been atrocious, and that clearly came out. And if you go back, I mean, had they won that New England game week 1, which of course they did not, and maybe Burrow was not 100% in that game, that would have changed their entire season. But if, doesn't matter. I and F are the 2 most important letters in sports, as we say here constantly. This team, the reason there should be excitement is for one reason only. Hopefully, this means that moving forward, the team is comfortable paying someone other than the quarterback. And they do have 2 incredibly special players in Higgins and Jamar Chase. And the Bengals have let them walk. Carson Palmer tried to knock on the door in the front office and suggest keeping players while he was there. And eventually he decided to retire because it was so difficult for him to get through to anybody. And for some reason now, Joe Burrow has found the right person in the building to speak to, and that person is listening. That has to represent something moving forward. So that's one side of the coin that says this is great news, and this should lead to the 1.5 wins that they need to get over the hump. That's really all they need. The Bengals need 1.5 more wins from what they did last season, and now they're potentially hosting a playoff game. That's a lot, 1.5, but it could happen with this group. And then the other side of the coin is great, you signed all the guys that weren't enough to get it done last season. That's a scary proposition as well. That in this division, this group, if you're paying money in these positions, we have holes that are more important elsewhere. That could very well be. That could very well be. And now they're tied up at positions, but it's something Cincinnati has never done before. And nobody is going to say that Cincinnati sets the bar in regards to consistent success in this league. Nobody. So doing it different is probably worth taking a sniff at this point. And I'm thrilled that Burrow convinced somebody to keep his guys around.
I get it. Look, I know Bengals fans are happy. I get it. Yeah, Joe Burrow's got a lot of power. Good for him. Their defense is still bad, and they haven't done anything to fix it. Like you said, 1.5 wins. 1.5 wins gets them into the tournament, and you have Burrow. Good for you. And you're always going to always have a chance. 1.5 wins gets you in the tournament, but it doesn't fix your defense. So, I mean, it's still a glaring issue. You can make the argument, and you could have made the argument with Myles Garrett as well. You make the argument, Bengals would be better off to trade T. Higgins. You can go find a number 2 receiver. Andre Yoshavash is a decent player. He's not a number 2, maybe. Maybe he's better as your number 3. But you got Mike Gesicki back as well. You go find a number 2 receiver somewhere else. And let's say you get a 2 for T. Higgins. Say you get a 2 and a 5. I don't know that you would have. But let's say, look, T. Higgins, if T. Higgins hadn't been tagged, he would have been one of the first players off the board, and he would have gotten over 30 a year and would have been a bidding war. So maybe if you traded him, you can get back multiple picks, and you can help build that defense. And you know your offense is still going to be good, just a different look at it, potentially. But look, they're back. Quarterback's happy. Fans are happy. Just got to go fix the other side of the ball, which they haven't done. They just haven't. Let's move on to the 3 new rule proposals as we're getting closer to the NFL's annual meeting. This year it is in Palm Beach, Florida, where they will vote on rule proposals. This is where many years ago, actually it was in Arizona for that meeting, we made defensive pass interference reviewable for a year. That was a disaster. Back in Palm Beach, when last we were in Palm Beach, that's where the NFL made the decision to make sure each team gets the ball guaranteed in overtime in the postseason. And coincidentally or ironically, that is one of the proposals now on the table for this return to Palm Beach. 3 proposals currently on the table. Number 1, as mentioned, and the Eagles were the ones that put this proposal forward. Each team is guaranteed a possession in overtime in the regular season. So basically, it's the playoff rule. Just make it into the regular season. I think that's the only one that has a good shot to pass. In fact, I think it's likely. You need 24 votes to pass. I have not polled the room. My gut tells me that one can pass because it's kind of common sense now. Why do you have different rules in the playoffs? What are you, hockey? No, you're better than that. Okay? So make it the same. Here are the other 2 rules, and I don't think either will pass. Number 1, the Packers propose banning the tush push, the brotherly shove, call it what you may. I don't think it's going to pass. You want to beat it, or you want to stop it, beat it. Just beat it. Go ahead, play the music now if you want. You got to find a way to stop it. You can't ban it. It's not going to get banned. You're not going to find 24 votes. I'm sorry. Not going to happen. And then this other one, which everyone thinks is a no-brainer, I can tell you right now, I don't think it's going to happen. The Lions propose getting rid of the automatic first down for a defensive penalty for illegal contact or defensive holding. Now, all the time you see a play, it'll be like 3rd and 26, incomplete, time to punt, except on the backside of the play. Quarterback wasn't even looking that way. There's a little tug on the jersey from the corner beyond 5 yards. That's a defensive hold. Yeah, it's the right call, but it didn't really affect the play, did it? Nope, but that's 5 yards at a first down. And everyone at home starts screaming and yelling. How is that fair? Well, I don't know that it is, but I don't think it's going to change. Here's why. Just bear with me here. So let's play a make-believe. Let's say it's 3rd and 14. Okay? Let's pick a team. Called the Minnesota Vikings. J.J. McCarthy on 3rd and 14, back to throw. Well, if Justin Jefferson is lined up, and all of a sudden he goes in motion, Kevin O'Connell loves him when he goes in motion. I'm playing zone. Now all of a sudden there's a mismatch. He's in the slot. I hate the mismatch if I'm a defensive coordinator. I'm just going to make a signal to my slot guy who's lined up across from Justin Jefferson. Just hold him. Go ahead. Hug him. And if you get away with it, you get away with it. If you don't, okay, it's 3rd and 9. It's not an automatic first down. Hey, same thing happens. Now in 3rd and 9. Favorable matchup. This time it's Jordan Addison on a linebacker. Okay? Jordan Addison is going to destroy that linebacker. Just hold him. Now it's 3rd and 4. I got 3 shots at shutting you down if I'm the defense because I have 2 free holding penalties. I don't think anyone, and believe me, they go through these scenarios, anyone is going to vote to change it. I'll give you another one. End of game situation. Offense driving, they're down, they need a touchdown to win the game. Go ahead. You want to take a deep shot? You got to take a deep shot. You're out of timeouts. I'll just hold you. Go ahead. It's 5 yards. It's not a first down. I'll just keep doing that and running the clock. I just think there are too many of these what if scenarios. And believe me, for any rule change, the competition committee sits in there and they go through every crazy scenario. Hey, guys, I'll tell you what, like coaches raise their hand. Here's what I would do here. I would do this and this and this. And then somebody goes, oh, wow, yeah, that wouldn't work. Well, maybe we can make that illegal. No, we can't make that illegal. All right, this thing doesn't pass. And that's what I think is going to happen here. It sounds like a good idea, but they'd rather have a play in which there's a hold on the backside that has nothing to do with where the quarterback is looking and give a team a first down than go down the rabbit hole of those scenarios I just gave you.
Let me give you another scenario that people will remember, pretty high profile. Now, the Eagles are relishing in the Super Bowl victory over the Chiefs that just happened a month ago. But take it back to the 22 season in a Super Bowl that they lost to the Chiefs 38-35, minute 54 to go in that game. Chiefs facing 3rd and 8 at the Eagles 15 in a tie ball game. James Bradbury called for defensive holding. Again, it was 3rd and 8. Should that have been a 5-yard penalty and not an automatic first down, it changes the game dramatically. The Eagles would receive the ball with about 90 seconds to go in a game where they're trailing by 3. Had that been the case,
see,
if it was not an automatic first down.
Problem with that one. It was
that was the receiver. Yep, Juju was the receiver he was going for.
Ended receiver on a shot to the end zone.
It was a hold.
It was a hold, and he admitted it after the game.
He said, "Yeah,
I hear you."
I'm only giving you another scenario, right? You had made up some scenarios, and I'm just giving you a good one for people to remember that if that was 5 yards and not an automatic first down, changes that game. That's a good scenario to bring up that obviously has the swing of being a first down versus not. What I cannot stand is when officials are determining turnovers. And what I mean by this, follow me on this. If there is a defensive penalty called on a 3rd down stop, it's essentially a turnover. You're taking the ball that would have been now with the defensive team and you're giving it back to the offense.
But if it's a penalty, it's a penalty.
I cannot stand that idea. An automatic first down does that. I mean, again, if you're saying
they have a 4th down, they could still go for it.
Again, but in the scenario I just suggested, obviously they wouldn't have. But I'd rather leave the team in that scenario than not. I hate when you're essentially taking the ball from one team and giving it to the other. It's too large a swing. It's too
You're not.
large.
Penalty on third down is a penalty on first down and is a penalty on
But,
second.
but it's too, you can't, you have to admit that it's a bigger deal in that case,
Well,
of
sure,
course.
it's a higher stakes down, but that doesn't make it any more or less of a penalty.
But it's why we're considering these rule changes. It's why.
No,
third down is
disagree.
really why.
No, I disagree. They're considering this rule change because they think that the automatic first down for what is a 5-yard penalty,
Right.
That the 5-yard penalty and automatic first down don't jive. Right? Those two thoughts aren't congruent. And that's why they want to do it. And a lot of times as well, they think, well, and you hear this, well, hey, he was looking deep left and this was short right.
Right.
And holding short right. The offensive coaches will tell you, yeah, he didn't throw short right
because
the guy was
held. Right. His first read was now taken to the ground. Yes.
Correct.
Understandable. There should be fewer rules where the referee can give the ball to the other team.
You're so wrong
Period.
there with all due respect. You're not giving the ball to the other team.
You're giving the ball to the other team.
No. The other team has the ball. You're making certain that they don't have to give it up because the other team cheated.
Defensive pass interference is such a disadvantage for the defense, and that rule is not changing. We had a season in which the league clearly decided not to touch that.
The wrong way to say it, respectfully.
What? Wait, what happened?
You're not taking the ball away.
But you are. The ball would on third and long scenarios.
By definition, you're letting the ball stay with the team that was cheated upon.
Okay, but on 3rd and 28, automatic first down on a 5-yard penalty is absurd.
That's why they're discussing.
So I think it's worth the conversation, and I think automatic first down. I think the offense has so much in its favor. Automatic first down, and maybe it's worth saying that it should be a 10-yard penalty, because in that case,
there's the middle ground. Exactly.
Right. Because that's going to give most first downs, but not all. When your offense is pinned back, you don't deserve a first down gift to that extent. And 10 yards would solve that in more scenarios than not. So making it just a 10-yard penalty would be gifting first downs in a number of occasions, but not all.
This is not going to change, I'll tell you right now. Now, if you had a conversation about DPI, defensive pass interference, being
15.
a 15-yard penalty instead of a spot foul, that would be an interesting conversation. You'd make it the college football rule as opposed to the NFL rule, spot foul, so you don't have 50-yard bombs that are underthrown where the wide receiver hits the break, the DB runs right through them, and you get 50 yards out of it. Most people agree that shouldn't be the case.
And I would argue in that
more interesting conversation.
And I would argue in that case, I think that rule, and I think you could get it through a little easier. I think pass interference in the end zone should still result in ball at the 1, though. So if you're at the 50 and you throw the ball into the end zone and there's pass interference in the end zone, it would still go to the 1 in that scenario. It would be 15 yards on all the others. But if the foul occurs in the end zone, right? If foul occurs in the end zone, you can put it at the 1. So that, I think that would be easier, I think, to convince people. So it is 15 yards, except in some cases where it still can go for 50, 40, 60, etc.
I lied. There's one more, a couple more, but there's really only one more interesting potential rule change here. And this would change the seeding in the postseason. So last year, it actually happened in both the AFC and the NFC. Last year, the Vikings were 14-3. They were a wild card because the Lions won the division, the NFC North. So the Vikings had to go on the road to the 10-7 Rams, a division winners of the NFC West, and they lost. Actually, the game was in Arizona because of the wildfires here, but the Rams were the division winner with 4 fewer wins than the Vikings, and the Vikings had to go on the road. It would reseed. And in this scenario, the Rams, as the NFC West champions, would have had to go to 14-win wildcard team, Minnesota. In the AFC, there was also that scenario. The Chargers won 11 games. They won they're a wild card in the AFC West. But that wild card had to go on the road to the 10-7 AFC South champion Houston Texans. And again, in both scenarios here, the team that won more games during the regular season went on the road and lost. This will not change. Write it down. Take it to the bank. NFL owners value winning divisions. Roger Goodell Roger Goodell's the same thing. Roger Goodell and NFL owners value winning divisions. NFL owners want to host home playoff games. That is a big deal for the team, for the stadium, for the gate, for the city. You make money on those things. NFL owners, if you win a division, they want to win a playoff game at home. And they get that game at home if you win the division. And that is a big deal, huge deal. And there is no way that they're going to go NBA style and do this. I know fans think, hey, no, this is the right. Oh, it's going to be unfair. Can't believe that team barely had a 500 record, or maybe they were sub 500 like the Seahawks years ago and they won their division. This is unfair. Deal with it. It ain't going to change because you need 24 of these 32 guys to change their mind where all they think about, not all they think about, they want that home playoff game. While on paper it might sound nice and might sound fair, oh, boo-hoo, the Vikings had to go visit the Rams. Ain't going to change, folks. So don't get your hopes up.
Couple of things with this one. What is interesting about changing it and would be very cool from a fan perspective is now the Texans, although they have locked up the division with about 3 games to play, I believe they did this season, those last 3 games now, there is incentive for the Texans as opposed to games that sort of don't matter so much to them. All of a sudden, they are playing these games in a more meaningful way, knowing that they need more wins than the Chargers. Otherwise, they will be on the road.
May I argue there is already incentive because you are trying to improve your seed. While you're guaranteed that wild card weekend home game, you can still fight for that 2 seed.
It's another carrot. Admittedly, it's another carrot. You have to earn your home game in a different way. And again, division would still stand as automatic playoff berth. So winning the division would still grant you something. So you would, right? No matter what, you could have that sub 500 record and still get into the dance, which is nice. You would just be essentially the 7 seed at that point.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Which I think is cool. And let's just say one thing, because you mentioned the NBA, and fans will probably say the NBA did it. I dare every fan right now to ask themselves, please name all of the divisions in the NBA.
The NBA has divisions.
Yeah. One of them I think is Southwest Airlines. Really, they just, the divisions. Right now. I think there's a Southwest, a Northwest, Pacific. Is it still Atlantic? I think it is.
I'll tell you right now, when you go to ESPN.com/NBA standings or NBA/standings, it automatically defaults to conference. Right. I know we're coming down the stretch now in the regular season. I got like 15 games to go. I get that. But it automatically defaults to conference because that's how people view it. They view the East and the West and the playoffs based on conference only. The divisions are the Atlantic, the Central, the Southeast,
I was right.
The Northwest,
is there a Southwest?
Pacific, and the Southwest.
Okay.
Yes.
Congrats. Is there still a Northwest Airlines, by the way? Does that still exist?
No, Northwest became Delta, or they merged with Delta.
Okay. Yes. All right. So there you go. So maybe we'll call that division Delta one day.
The Southwest division, it's where you get the bag, and then you have to check it.
And the Campbell Conference, right? Yeah. The Wales Conference. That's an old NHL conference. Yeah. Okay. So we know that the divisions are utterly useless in the NBA. Different in the NFL, where there was a lot. And we say divisional games mean more. And in the NBA, nobody would argue that. Nobody thinks that a Suns-Lakers game, I think they're in the same division, somehow matters more than a Lakers-Mavs game. No, I'm saying nobody in the world thinks a Lakers-Suns game matters more than a Lakers-Mavs game because I believe the Suns are in the division of the Lakers and the Mavs are not.
In the Lakers division. Do you know what it's called?
They're Pacific, I'm pretty sure.
Pacific, correct.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so we're good with that. But
name
useless.
the Southeast division of the NBA.
Teams.
There are 5 teams.
Is Memphis a Southeast team?
Are you asking me or telling me?
I'm asking.
Memphis is not in the Southeast division.
So there you go. So I'm out. But that's how useless it is. Go ahead and list them for fun.
No. Again, Southeast.
Oh, right. Okay, so that would have been right. Okay, geographically.
Memphis, not in the East.
Right.
Memphis is in the Southwest, even though Tennessee is nowhere near the Southwest.
And okay.
Of America.
Just
New Orleans in the Southwest. New Orleans is not near the southwest of America. The southeast, Atlanta, Orlando, Miami, Charlotte, Washington.
What a rivalry.
Yes.
I mean, who isn't excited about the Charlotte Washington bloodbath? I mean, that's what a rivalry. Yeah, that's useless. And it's different in the NBA because you're actually giving away what you're giving away there is the swing of a game 7. It's over a 7-game series. So you're still going to have 3 home games regardless of where you finish. Whereas in the NFL, you're taking away the carrot of the potentially only home game that you would have in the playoffs. So that is different. And that's, let's say, more fair. I still think this would be, I think in years where you have a 14-win team playing in week 18 with a chance to be the 1 or 2 seed or the 5 seed, it's different. It's such a swing that it feels dramatic. Now, it made that game more interesting because of that, right? All of a sudden, that game and that division crown becomes that much more interesting. So there's that. But, again, I'll say that Houston fighting for wins, knowing that their playoff home game is on the line, is a little more interesting there. A little bit more. I think over time, we would feel that it's very right that the team with more wins is playing at home. I think over time we would all say that was worth doing. I think we'd say that feels fair. That feels fair that a team that has 3 more wins than another is hosting that game as opposed to not.
I get it. I just don't think 24 out of 32 are going to vote to ever be in a scenario in which they win their division, right? You play 6 games in the division. They are, for all intents and purposes, your fiercest rivalry. Aside from the random game in which you have a big name team coming to town and they only do that once every 8 years, right? And that's a big draw. They are your biggest draws of the year. Those games are meaningful. Those games are fought for by the networks.
Yeah.
Those games determine your playoff fate. And if they win the division, they want to win or they want to host a home playoff game.
It's like
you ever been? Have you ever been to an Eagles playoff game at home?
At home Eagles playoff game? No,
At
actually,
home,
wow, stunning that I have not.
Okay.
But no.
Let me tell you, the electricity for home playoff games is unlike anything in the NFL. I mean, it's as good a venue, as good an event as there is in major North American sports. It just is. Just like you've been to Kings home playoff games.
Yeah, of course.
Those are amazing.
Incredible.
Right?
Yeah,
Lakers home playoff
of course.
game.
Yes.
The energy in the building is amazing.
No, it's different.
But those are 7-game series.
Yeah, but the tension, you're right. But the idea,
the tension.
when it gets down to the elimination games in a home building is interesting because it changes so quickly, right? You're excited for the opportunity to win, but then when it becomes the idea that the whole season could end and this would be the last time in the building for that season, and by the way, the silence of losing a home game is also just deafening. And
I was at the last Browns home playoff game victory, certainly victory. Last home playoff game. Yeah.
What? So so that was
1995. Okay.
Right. Okay. Yes,
and
I remember.
I remember the details of that game and the energy in that building, the old stadium, Cleveland Municipal Stadium, like it was yesterday. It was a Bill Belichick coached Browns team.
Oh yes.
With Vinny Testaverde at quarterback, beating a Bill Parcells, Drew Bledsoe Patriots team. Unbelievable. Like, was it 95 or is it 93? Hold on. Browns playoff history.
While you look that up, was the 2000
I'm embarrassed, I don't remember.
That's all right.
Okay, so it was 95. It was the 94 season.
94 season.
94 season.
January 95.
It was January of 95. Browns won the game 20-13. Anyway, I've been to Rams home playoff games. Obviously, I've been to the playoff games.
Yes.
There's nothing like it for the home team. Nothing. And they're going to protect that, but it's a financial thing as well. They're going to protect the home gate. Period.
That makes sense. And one other thing for the rule proposals that I just wanted to bring up, because overtime, I think this conversation is so foolish. I think there's one thing you could do to overtime to fix it so that everyone would just really shut the hell up about it already. It's the coin toss, which is so not a football moment that we need to get rid of. The coin toss at the end of regulation is what screws this whole thing up. If you played the fourth quarter knowing that you were or were not going to receive the ball first or at all in overtime, you would play the fourth quarter, the end of the fourth quarter, differently. If you have the ball on offense with 30 seconds to go in a game in which you know the other team is going to get the ball first in overtime, you're going to play those 30 seconds as if it's overtime. You're going to play those 30 seconds as if let's say it's a tie game. You're going to play right there to win the game, as opposed to kneeling and convincing yourself, oh, but maybe we'll get the ball first. Yeah, maybe if a little hopscotch playground game goes your way with we're going to call heads and tails and hope it works out in our favor. Determine before the game in one of two ways which team is going to get the ball in overtime. Either the team that is deferring on the coin toss to begin the game, that would then apply to overtime as well, or simply make it part of home field advantage. We get the ball first in overtime. And then everyone knows going into the game what's going on. Now you know who is getting the ball first in overtime. There is more, it feels, I love immediate impact. Sudden death is a great part of overtime, and we've lost that now.
Okay, you're looking to fix a problem that doesn't exist.
The coin toss why is a coin toss?
It annoys you, okay, but it's not a problem. Those are two different things. The problem that you just laid out, somehow the fourth quarter, like fans being treated to substandard football in the fourth quarter while teams wait for overtime. I can't remember the last time that happened. Like, what, a guy takes a knee with 10 seconds left instead of throwing a Hail Mary? Like, how many times do we have that scenario?
I'm suggesting that the entire outlook,
problem.
But there is a strategy now to how there is a strategy, which right now, what is the strategy of calling heads or tails? What's the strategy on that?
Who cares?
Exactly my point. It's a garbage piece of the game, the head and tails. Just take out the coin toss.
Why does it bother you?
I hate it. Well, because it's
you haven't explained why it bothers you.
How about this?
You told me that it bothers you. You haven't explained why it bothers you.
Because the rule, when it was changed for a field goal to not end the game, it was unnecessary. If the coin toss was simply not a part of it, you couldn't have said it was unfair, because the team in the fourth quarter would have known there is a likelihood that we are going to lose this game because our opponent is going to get the ball first, and all they'll need is to get into field goal range and win this game. It will change the outcome
differently. I guess I just don't see it as an issue.
But why not change the strategy? Why not make it a strategy at the end of a game, knowing that overtime could not go in your favor? Why should overtime go in your favor?
Again, the number of times, like, I'm asking for an example. Can you think of a game in which the final 2 minutes were played in a manner that seemingly was unfair?
No.
Because of a pending point, or conversely, like, can you think of a 2 minutes that somehow, if this were different, would be different? Because I can't.
It's not an issue. It's not an issue for me.
Correct. It's not an issue.
It's not an issue for me that those 2 minutes specifically have to be different. It's that you would have a strategy about knowing definitively that you are getting the ball or not, as opposed to the idea, this dream that you're going to win a playground game, heads and tails. Let's play hopscotch. I mean, what are we doing with a coin toss?
You're making a big deal out of it.
I think heads and tails is
a coin is flipped.
Yes, I think heads and tails. Why is heads and tails a part of football? It's not.
I could find a room for you to scream about this right now. There's no one else.
I think I found it.
There's literally nobody else that cares.
Heads and tails is ridiculous. Get rid of it.
Okay, great. And that's where they're in essence saying both teams get the ball.
And this is all, we're still upset that the Bills didn't get the ball out.
It doesn't matter who gets it first with flipping of a coin.
I get it, but we're still upset that the Bills didn't win the 2021 divisional game against Kansas City?
No. We don't want to be hockey where we have different rules. Like hockey, they're going to eventually get to the point, like, how many pie plates
No,
Can you hit from center ice?
3-on-3 is amazing. 3-on-3 hockey is
Now we're
amazing.
going to do it 2-on-2.
3-on-3
Now
is
we're going to make
amazing.
it look like the old Nintendo hockey game with fat guys and skinny guys, right? And not like
Blades of Steel. Yeah, get rid of the coin toss, or just award, or you know what? Let's award the Bills the 2021 divisional game. Let's just do that. Will that make everybody feel better? Just give the Bills that win.
Your outrage seems illogical here.
Why are we so again? Why are we still protecting the Bills from that game? Why are we still upset for them? Josh Allen lost that game. Okay,
we're not still upset. We're not.
Just give the Bills that win. Just give it to them.
We're not. You're being irrational.
Potentially.
Yeah, it's the flipping of a coin,
which is just so unnecessary.
Both teams get the ball.
We won the game. We called heads.
Like the iPad with the random number generator instead?
No, I'd like to know going into the game who's getting the ball first in overtime.
Nope.
We won the game. We called heads. Okay. Each team should have a heads, tails analyst.
Stop! Nobody cares. Thank you. You can edit that out if you want. I don't care. And that's the show. None of these rules are going to change except potentially the overtime one. And on that note, we thank you for listening and watching and subscribing to Thinking Out Loud. And as the frugal gourmet used to say, I bid you peace.